Do mass shooting victims choose their fate? Good morning, my friends. It's I, John, out here on the back deck with a big old mug of coffee. This video is a heavy topic because we just had another mass shooting. We seem to be having them very frequently nowadays. I often get people asking me, though, are mass shooting victims, are they choosing their fate? It's a very interesting topic to me because, I believe we create our experience. I also believe that 85 to 90% of our day, we are in our subconscious mind. And when we are subconsciously creating, we are living from life experience. We are living from our own self-doubts, our own self-worth, or what our parents told us about our lives, what our experiences told us about our lives. And many people will live their lives not consciously creating a beautiful life. That being said, 85 to 90% of the population is in their subconscious mind all the time, or the majority of the time. They're very rarely in their conscious mind. When you're living your life from reaction rather than action, then you become subject to other people's conscious actions. Many people talk to me about the idea of, if it's God's will, or if it's meant to be, or all of these statements that something outside of themselves is directing their lives or subjugating their lives. There's a large percentage of the people I talk to who believe that something outside of themselves is directing their lives. But that's not what Jeshua taught. That's not what Buddha taught. That's not what Krishna taught. That's what none of the ancient teachers taught. But when you look at it from the idea of, are you creating your life or not? I had a reading recently, and the comment came out of it that I simply loved, and I'm gonna use it in a book somewhere eventually. It said, "Until you acknowledge that you're the writer of your story, you'll be a character in somebody else's." Did people consciously choose to be killed in a mass shooting? I think that they were just giving it up to life and in reaction to life. And so experience has come through the path of least resistance. It's tragic, especially when mass shootings involve children, because children are in a phase of their life where they're getting all of their beliefs, all of their ideas, their truths from parents and from their experiences in life. And they don't in any way, shape, or form have the cognitive reasoning to say, this is not right. They don't get that until later. That's why even the religions wait until they're 13 to confirm them, because that's when they start to be able to think somewhat for themselves. But I don't know if you were like me at 13, but I wasn't a real good thinker at 13. But the idea is that, did they choose their path? The issue is not that did they choose their path. The issue was that they weren't choosing their path. They weren't consciously creating their experience. They weren't choosing to live a joyful life. They weren't choosing to create a life where you travel the world and work in movies or any of the things that you want to do with your life. Those are things I did with my life. And I truly am coming from the point of consciously creating it. And when you look at people in mass shootings, they're carefree, or usually they're in some place where they're not thinking about anything. Most of them are just living their lives. 85 to 90% of them think that their lives are being dictated to them by an external God, a force of some kind. And in reality, it's their lives are being created just like anybody else's lives are being created. Many of them believe the world is hard and difficult. Many of them believe the world is a dangerous place. Many of them have no belief except for the beliefs they're being told. Many of them are wearing the clothing of certain ideologies, and many of them are looking at the world as a confrontational battle. And When you look at it from that sort of perspective, you're going to have a confrontational battle. When you look at it as a dangerous place, you're going to have dangerous things happen to you because that's what your conscious focus is. That's what you're consciously creating. The unfortunate part is a lot of those people who are creating that way are not conscious of it. They are coming. They are just choosing to live from in reaction rather than in action. And what I teach on this channel, and what Joshua taught, what Buddha taught, what all of them taught was you are creating your experience. What you think you become, you create your world. You are the culmination of your thought. As a man thinketh, so is he. You must be the change you want to see in the world. That's conscious creation. That's you stepping into the conscious creation of your life. And when you're not stepping into the conscious creation of your life, what you find out very quickly is that your life becomes subjugated to somebody else's conscious creation. I'm going to go shoot up the grocery store today. I am conscious creation going into shooting up the grocery store, getting there, boom, 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 boom. Now, his conscious creation may come from a subconscious belief that the world is terrible and he's going to kill these people, right? Terrible, terrible thought process, right? But the more of us that show the world a loving place, the less of those people will think that way. The more of us who be the change we want to see in the world, the less of those people there will be, because they'll see the change that we're being in the world. The more of those people who are terrified and anxious and scared to go to the store or just believe life is struggle, the more struggle we'll see in the world. But those of us who are choosing to be conscious in our creation can create a loving world. And the people who literally are being slaughtered in mass shootings, had they known that they could be consciously creating, they might have been somewhere else. They might have been doing something else. They might have been able to talk the guy down. But it comes down to the idea that it's not happenstance. It's only happenstance in regards that they don't realize they're creating. And it's like I tell the story of the woman who goes jogging in the city at 4 a.m. and she jogs down dark alleys and she takes her can of mace and her kubotan, which is a little metal thing you hold in your hand to hit people with. Well, she's carried her mace. She's got her kubotan. She's running down alleys that she knows are dangerous. She's usually the one who ends up on the news, right? She's believing the world is dangerous, but she's still going out and running in the world and doing those things. I don't tend to believe that way. Swami Narayan said the lion didn't eat him because he was without fear. And because he was without fear, the lion gave him nothing to be fearful for. So did they create their destiny of being a victim of a mass shooting? Subconsciously, I would say yes. Consciously, I would say no. But that's the argument that we have is that, and I don't mean to make it an argument at all. That's the quandary we have. It's a better way of saying it. Is that are we conscious or subconscious, or are we unconscious about what we're creating? And when you get very conscious, and you can only be conscious in the present moment, you can't be conscious in the past, you can't be conscious in the future. You got to be conscious in the now. And when you're truly conscious in the now and you're creating in the now, you start creating this amazing experience in your life and less things happen. I've told the story before about talking myself out of a armed robbery. I've told that story before on videos, just by loving the man when he got into my car. And that's the point of this, is I didn't become a victim in that moment because I wasn't afraid of the man. And I saw that he was struggling, and I gave him love, and so I got love in return. Antoinette Tuff, one of my heroes. She doesn't even know she's one of my heroes. She hugged the guy, the 15-year-old boy with the AR-15. She took care of the child, told him he was loved, showed him what love was in the present moment. And the kid survived and went on to mental health treatment. Right? She told the police, she says, "You're not going to harm this boy. I'm protecting him." And she took care of it. She took care of him. She consciously chose to love rather than fear or hate or think the world's a terrible place. She consciously chose to love you. Her on the phone. I love you, honey. I love you. I care. I care. That's the point of this, is be conscious in what you're creating. Don't be unconscious. Don't be a character in somebody else's story. Be the star of your story. Be the lead, the protagonist, right? Not the antagonist, right? Be the one who's leading the story, the one who's telling the tale and make it a tale of love and compassion and joy and happiness. And the more you stay conscious in that creation in your present moment, you won't become one of the mass shooting victims. It won't happen because you're conscious in the creation that you're doing. And I feel so sad for the people who are in those situations because they didn't know they were doing it. They had no clue they were doing it. They had no clue. And whenever I make a video like this, somebody always says it's victim blaming. No, it's not. It's not victim blaming. It's explaining creation. It's explaining my views on creation. Once again, it's my truth. I'm not asking you to believe my truth, but in reality, it it seems to be backed up by all of the spiritual texts that are out there. And so, in my mind, you can begin to consciously create and change the world and be the change you want to see in the world, or you can be a character in somebody else's story, and that's how it all ends up. So that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.